I now reconvene to the regular meeting of the Board of Education at 7:01 with Blair, Cruz, Fikes, Nah, and Orozco present. Before we begin, please silence all electronic devices and note that these proceedings are being recorded. Pat?
The board met in closed session from 4:30 p.m. to 6:41 p.m. regarding conference with legal counsel existing and anticipated litigation, conference with labor negotiators, public employee discipline dismissal release, and public employee appointment, junior high school assistant principal and coordinator child development. The board voted to appoint Julie Fromdahl as assistant superintendent at Townsend Junior High School effective. What?
Assistant principal.
What did I say?
Assistant promotion here.
I have superintendent on my mind. Assistant principal. As assistant principal at Townsend Junior High School, effective date August 28, 2017, by a vote of 4-0, with Cruz absent, Fikes, Blair, Nah, Orozco, yes. And voted to appoint Kylie Coates as coordinator of child development, effective August 28, 2017, by a vote of 3-0, with Cruz and Nah absent, Fikes, Blair, and Orozco, yes. No further action was taken, which requires public disclosure.
Before we get to the pledge, Mr. Joseph?
Julie, come on and tell us what you're going to do as assistant.
All right, all right.
Hi. I didn't really plan on coming up to speak, but yes, I'm very flattered. Thank you, Mr. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really happy to make this transition and move forward, and I'm excited. I can't wait to join the team. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have the Pledge of Allegiance and our student representative, Jonah Botello. Will you lead us in the pledge?
Please rise. Take off all hats and hoods. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, thank you, Jonah. So we are going to ask you to have your first comments at your first board meeting. Is there anything you'd like to share with us?
Yes. All right. So the district will have its first SAC meeting, which is the Student Advisory Council. This is basically all the high school and junior high schools leadership and ASB students meeting. They will have their first meeting September 26th. And here we will discuss events, concerns in our school district. And hopefully once those get started, I could relay information based on the students and teachers' concerns in those schools to you guys. And yeah, so first SAC meeting, September 26th. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonah. Okay, so we're now at employee representatives, and let's start with Denise Arroyo, CSEA.
You can call me Speedy today. I picked up an earring yesterday and pulled my back out. So the earring must have been this big and about 200 pounds. So anywho. Good evening, all. Welcome to a new school year. As the district started the new year, I visited several school sites. Everyone at the school sites, from custodial to clerical, were working diligently to get things done. From registering students to cleaning classrooms for teachers and students. Maintenance, grounds, technology, and warehouse also working hard to make sure our schools are looking good, have the goods they need, and the technology needed for a successful opening. A big thank you to our bus drivers for transporting our students and our nutrition service employees for providing meals. Last but not least, our instructional aides. These employees are one in a million. The duties which they perform daily is incredible. I would ask the board and cabinet to visit the classes at Walnut and Woodcrest to see what our employees endure in each day for our students and our teachers. I do want to remind the public school is in session and to be mindful of our buses and traffic at our schools. There are laws for the public regarding our buses. If you see a bus with flashing lights and the arm stop sign is out, you must stop behind the bus. CSEA attended our association's 91st annual conference. Over 1,700 classified employees attended this year. We had 2 keynote speakers. The first one was David Miyashiro, Superintendent of Cajon Valley Unified School District. He asked the delegates, who is the most important customer in your district? Many delegates, as well as myself, responded students. To our surprise, the superintendent stated the employees at his district are the most important customer. He stated when you show your employees that they are the number one, you have happy employees. Happy employees go above and beyond the call of duty, therefore you have happy students. He showed a video from his district which the superintendent, school board, cabinet, classified employees, teachers, all lip-synced to a song. And at the end of the video, they had students singing and dancing as well. This was a way to show unity in a school district. Our second keynote speaker was Ronnie Habib. He is the Educational Technology Coordinator and a teacher of positive psychology at Gunn High School in Palo Alto. He is a consultant for ed tech companies and has recently launched EQ Schools, an organization that empowers school through emotional intelligence training. He was also a keynote speaker at the Para-Educator Conference we had here in Ontario, so I said, oh, familiar face. He asked the delegates, what do you want for your children? Responses ranged from college, wealth, good job, family. His response was, we want our kids to be happy. What I gained from both speakers that our students or our own kids need to be happy to succeed. And that all starts from adults. I would like to speak about OPA, or any other charter for that matter. Parents state it is all about the students. That's what I've heard for the past. But what I've witnessed, it's all about the parents. And kids can pretty much adapt to any new setting. If the parents are really thinking about their kids, stability comes to my mind. Has the district thought of a dependent charter? Just want to throw that out there. CSEA has set up dates for negotiations with the district. Excited for that, and look forward to working with the district and getting things done. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. And next, we'd like to welcome Steve Ball as ACT President.
Good evening. Well, as the new president of ACT, I'd first like to thank the members of the board that quickly reached out and welcomed me and expressed genuine interest in working together for the betterment of our district. And Mrs. Orozco, I still owe you a cup of coffee. I haven't forgotten. I also want to thank Mr. Joseph, Dr. Enfield, Mrs. Fellows, everyone at the district office that's gone out of their way to make sure that this transition is a smooth one. I appreciate you. But for me, the first order of business has to be this: 413. This number represents the number of days since our contract has expired. 413. That means that your teachers, your nurses, and your counselors have now started 2 years in a row without a contract. And that's not where we want their heads in the first week of school. In fact, after 413 days, we're still stuck at the same number, 0. Now, I know I'm new at this, but I also know that this way of doing business is nothing new. And therein lies our problem. Many of us this summer had the opportunity to work with teachers from all over the state. And we were surprised and a little shocked at how many of them had an opinion, a less than favorable opinion, of our fine district. And it turns out that when we're constantly negotiating the past, instead of working on the future, we gain a bit of a reputation. And when our health benefits appear anemic in comparison to districts around us, and when the opening offer from the district in every negotiation is 0, we just add to that reputation. And very soon, that's going to matter a lot. Because ready or not, a teacher shortage is imminent. That's a fact. That's not an opinion. It's no longer a prediction. The number of teachers at or nearing retirement far and away exceeds the number of students in universities preparing to enter the profession. So when it hits, and it will, we'll be competing with over 1,000 school districts in California alone. Competing not just for new teachers, but competing for our own great teachers that we've spent so much time and training on. Because in a buyer's market, they can afford to be choosy. Now, other districts are preparing for this competition. And we're at 413 and 0. Are we going to continue this short-sighted, prolonged bargaining where we spend so much of the year acting like we're two different sides? Or can we turn this thing around before we become the BITSA program for other districts? This number goes up every day. And that front edge of the teacher shortage gets nearer and nearer. And we continue to shoot ourselves in the foot. Let's prepare to compete. Let's get this thing done. Thanks.
Thank you. Yvette Farley with CHAMP.
Good evening. I'm very honored to serve CHAMP as CHAMP president for another year. The beginning of a new school year brings with it the challenge of an opportunity for improving the effectiveness of how schools address barriers to learning and teaching and re-engage disconnected students. Major improvements involve working a bit harder and a lot smarter. CVUSD employees have collectively worked hard to ensure a great start of the year. CHAMP would like to begin by thanking our board members and our cabinet for their continued support. We know that schedules will always be hectic and days will always be full, but you have continued to strive to keep our district goals in the forefront, our staff engaged, and you have been accessible and supportive. Our sincere gratitude for your support. I'd also like to highlight and recognize things that have occurred within the last couple of days at various sites. For Cortez Elementary, we would like to acknowledge the hard work and efforts from maintenance and operations, from technology, from CSEA and ACT for working at putting our school back together during the installation of new carpet, ensuring our computers were up and running, removal of dead trees and plants, attention given to our playground field, and the overall facelift that was given to our school. We are proud to call Cortez our home with the hard work and support you have given us this summer. Marshall would like to thank all those who came on their superstar welcoming, board members and cabinet for their support in making their first day at Marshall successful. Glen Mead had a huge turnout at their meet and greet. They had pancakes with the principal and served over 300 parents and students, and they were able to meet their new teacher and be a part of a PTA scavenger hunt on campus. We would like to thank our HR department for their efficiency and expediency in hiring and helping us be able to start the school year without substitute teachers, so that is really great. Levi Dickey would like to give a shout out to Crystal Segura and Troy Ingram, who's here, and our Media Center department, and also Chino High School's National Art Honor Society. They have been a big support of Levi Dickey Elementary School. They have been working closely with us to create motivational and no-excuse university posters for their media center and ensured that it was ready for the students on the first day. In addition, they are assisting in finalizing a new logo for with the Chino High School's National Art Honor Society. Another shout out to Krista Segura in the Media Center for the creative printing projects, and she has such a quick turnaround. So schools are really welcoming that work. Oak Ridge is very thankful that we're not overflowing schools. So Mr. Joseph, thank you. There's several school sites that at this point saying we're happy that we're keeping our children at our school site. Briggs had a smooth start. Parents are really adhering to the drop-off and pickup procedures. And so we'd like to thank our parents for following the traffic rules in our parking lots. And we also want to give a shout out to the Chino Police Department who have made themselves very visual at the startup. We'd also like to thank Grace Lee for the new teacher professional development, the 2-day professional development. I believe we hired, over 106 teachers that came back to our sites ready to go. So thank you very much. We have a lot. I mean, there are so many things happening at our schools in only a couple of days. Cattle had an incredibly smooth start for the new year. They are very thankful, Mr. Joseph, and to Human Resources for their support in FTEs. And also, they have, for the third year in a row, 0 combination classes. So, yep. Dixon Elementary is very thankful for all the support you have given to the new principal as well. They appreciate the visits and encouragement from the board members. Everything is going great at Liberty, and they are happy they are keeping their children on their school site. Country Springs, board and cabinet's effort to limit combo classes has been met with gratitude by staff and parents. All district departments, but especially the maintenance, technology, and human resource department have done a great job responding to the needs of students and staff. Administrators have worn out their shoes walking campuses to ensure students and staff had a fantastic first few days. Mr. Mackesy would like to say that he has logged over 65,000 steps, which is equal to 31 miles, he says, in the last couple of days. Eagle Canyon would like to thank Dr. Park in conjunction with Greg Statura and the Maintenance and Operations Department for the special project that they have done with a storage classroom and transforming it ready for school use, classroom use. Rolling Ridge appreciates the enthusiasm of our students and that they came back ready to go to school to learn and grow. And Walnut Elementary would like to thank the special ed program specialists for being out on their campus for the first week to support their SH classes, and also to Human Resources for supporting our growth. Utilizing our bus lane in the back of the school has also been very efficient in providing a safer drop-off and pickup. They too would like to also thank the Chino PD for their assistance. Don Lugo has had a remarkable first day back. They have ran PBIS workshops that taught students the character of a conquistador, be responsible, be respectful, and be involved. Their freshmen have made a commitment to graduate and took pictures in graduation caps and gowns. They had a motivational speaker, Kevin Loud, do an assembly with their student body. So great first day. Special thanks to Mr. Joseph, Dr. Enfield, Dr. Park, and Ms. Fellows for coming to support our first day and be amongst the phenomenal students and staff. And last but not least, Canyon Hills. Canyon Hills Junior High did something different this year on their first day. They went away from their first day syllabus and replaced it with departments holding mini workshops. So if you were in the history department, students who sat in history class had binder organizations the Avid way. So every student in their history class had a workshop on that. In math, they focused on progress monitoring and goal setting. Students learned how to calculate their GPA and then set measurable goals for the first 6 weeks of school. In language arts, they focused on agendas, how to organize them, school-wide expectations, where to locate their goal-setting page. Every 3 weeks, students will progress monitor and goal set, and this is school-wide. They also learned about MLA format. In science, they focused on Cornell note-taking, and in PE and electives, they took tours of the campus and focused on school-wide site-specific expectations by location. A lot, and we're proud to say that it's been a great first 4 days. We've covered as much as we could, and we're really focusing on our district's goals and areas of emphasis, and we're collaborating with our staff to come up with novel ways to ensure student success. Thank you very much for your continued support. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, next we have our community liaisons, and I'd like to welcome from the City of Chino, Council Member Paul Rodriguez. Our newly appointed councilman.
Thank you for this opportunity to meet with all of you. I'm a longtime resident of Chino, going back to probably 1906, not me, but
You look good.
my grandparents. I look pretty good for 106 years old or whatever. But anyway, I look forward to really working closely with the school board and the entire district. My background, as you may know, I happen to be a new council member with a strong background in education and other fields, with 35 years of experience as a teacher at Marshall Elementary. I'm a product of the district. E.J. Marshall, I've taught also at Alternative to Expulsion, and also a counselor at Don Lugo for several years. I have ideas that I want to express to you that I want to share. I want to meet with each one of you individually so we are within the bounds of the Brown Act and not violating that. But one idea that I'd like to bring to you, to the council here or to the school board, would be the idea that I want to strongly push for a college, career, and civic character building fair that can be annually done through the city with the help of the school district. I think when we look at the resources that we have around us, we have Chaffey College, we have the educational programs with the UCR extensions, Cal Poly, Cal Baptist, and all this. We need to bring that to the forefront. As I have said to the council, we need to look for ways to celebrate and also to boast not only the city but the district as to what we do and what we offer for the families. Having lived here all my life for a long time, maybe not as long as 1906, but there's a time now that we need to push that. In times that it's important to celebrate and to boast and to encourage our students to look at careers not only that are developed into blue collar, white collar, vocational, and also certifications that they can receive from the local universities. So that's a push that I'm going to be doing with the city and also with the district. Career building and civic character building are extremely important. We need to emphasize and really solidify that idea, because when you have a populace or residents that are educated, they're more prone to be focused on responsibilities in our democracy. They're going to be more prone to follow the rules. They'll be more prone to be polite, and also to contribute to the economic building of not only the city, but also the school district. It goes hand in hand. Next month, and I wish I had known about it and been appointed maybe a little bit sooner. It may not be too late, I can look into it, but I'll be attending the California League of Cities. Now you're going to say, well, now he's talking about cities. No, but if you look at the real initiative of this program that's been around since 1898, it has grown to include economic growth for cities, and also education, and also technology. So in a sense, it's not focused only on city growth and finance and so forth, but also the ability to increase education for all the population and all the residents and citizens of California. And that includes the Chino Valley Unified School District and the board members. So I'll look into it and maybe get back to one of you to see as to whether one of you or all, some of you can attend and get involved with understanding, okay, yes, we are not only a school district, but also part of a larger community of the city. And it would be good to maybe look into that, you know, and I can bring that information. So I am very delighted, as I said, to be the liaison for the city, to work with a fine group of school board members and directors and assistant superintendents. And as I mentioned to the city, I see us as a chain of pearls. A chain of pearls meaning that every pearl on the chain is important, because the contribution of every pearl basically contributes to the whole of the value, not only of the chain, but also to the value of what it stands for. And my opinion would be that the district and the city stand for civic responsibility, educating the residents, and also uniting our way of life in a democratic society. So I want to thank you again for this opportunity to address the board and the residents of Chino. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at our meetings. Okay, and so Chino Hill, Cynthia Moran, I don't see. Mike Krieger, Suzette Dang. Do you have any comments for us today? From Supervisor Hagman's office, Suzette Dang.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, Mr. Joseph, staff, and audience members. My name is Suzette Dang, and I'm with County Supervisor Kurt Hagman's office. First of all, welcome back to school to all the students and teachers. We wish you luck, and we wish you much successful school year to everyone. Happy update for you guys. Remember the Dare to Prepare that I announced last meeting? It was another huge success. So between both workshops in June and in August, there has been 50 participants per class. So more people have signed up, but the actual attendees are about 50, which is still huge considering these are teenagers we're talking about with parents. So it was a great success. We are, let's see, future workshops for next year, because this year is done. Next year is in discussion, and we hope to offer many more free pre-permit driving workshops for all our teens, as well as their parents. And we wanted to thank you to those who have participated, and we're confident that you gained a greater understanding of driving etiquettes. And second announcement is Coffee with Kurt. It is this Saturday. It is at Biola's Southern Cuisine, located at 1845 East Holt Boulevard in Ontario. It's open to the public. And our special guest this month will be Ontario Montclair School District Superintendent Dr. James Hammond. So we invite everyone to come out and join us. Come here and discuss about policies, the future of the county, and if there's any concerns in the community, please come let us know. Talk to Supervisor Hackman, who will be there in person. We would love to see you there. And as always, we are here as a county. If you need any services or questions answered, please contact me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I believe I see from the Chino's Park and Rec Commission, Kevin Cisneros.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Sylvia Roscoe and board members. Just a quick update. As your Chino Valley Unified School District appointed City of Chino Community Services Commissioner, of what we've been working on recently, fireworks have been the main topic at our meeting, of course. As we just passed the 4th of July, we had a contingency of people show up to talk to us about fireworks and their desire to see them go away. Their point, however, was not that they do not like fireworks. It wasn't even that they don't like illegal fireworks. Their point was that they don't like the length that people set them off, the length of time that people set them off. They say that the fireworks are being set off 6 weeks prior, 6 weeks after. So we asked the community next year to please just stick to the 4th of July. It'll allow us to keep fireworks there for our families to celebrate the 4th of July with those. And that is my report. And if you guys have any input or comments or questions in regards to the fireworks, please just let me know. I'm always available to you, and thanks again.
Thank you. Okay, so we are now at comments from the audience on items not on the agenda.
Just one.
One, okay. Mr. Knopf?
Okay, speakers, you have 3 minutes to make your comments. Please begin your comments at the green light. The yellow light indicates you have 30 seconds. The red light indicates your time is over. And before you begin your comments, please adjust the microphone as necessary so that you can be heard clearly. And audience members, please refrain from making comments while speakers are at the podium, as it is disrespectful and disruptive.
Speakers, please remember that in accordance with Board Bylaw 9323, bylaws of the board meeting conduct, limit remarks to 3 minutes total for all remarks. And the board would like to remind you that there is an existing board policy for anyone who wishes to file a complaint against a district employee. Please follow that procedure. The first speaker is Mona Hermosillo.
Good evening, school board members. Thank you for having me speak tonight, or allowing me to speak. As you can see, I'm an OPA, previous OPA parent. Just to do a quick remark to a lady that was just here. My son attends Briggs. There are no police presence at the school, and the parking is very, very disorganized, okay? I don't know, they don't wear vests. I don't know who the teachers are who are placing the children in the cars, which they don't. They have gates that are open in the back. They have gates that are open on the side. The kids can just run out wherever they want. That's unacceptable. My son has been there for 4 days, Max Anthony. He's a very, very friendly little guy. He's had diarrhea since then. He has not made a single friend. Nobody has attempted to come up. He's tried, but they don't want nothing to do with him. Also, there was a correctional officer posted on Facebook, Chino Valley. So, as I quote, "How was your first day of school, OPA kids? Where are all the pictures?" How does that sound? Not nice. We have some more postings. Another child. My little one, her recess proctor sounds like Darth Vader. Walk behind the wall. Walk behind the wall, please. Or no please, no sweetie, no nothing. Just very straightforward. Another child. How I miss OPA. Made everything a fun celebration. It was a celebration of childhood and education every day. I'm trying to stay positive, but no matter where we go for school, we are not going to feel the same around. It made me feel sick to think that all the changes that we had to go through. My second grader was not even smiling this morning, but towards the end of the day, he was being himself again and said, "This school It's easier than OPA. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. The picture that of his first classwork today, he feels sad, not even getting six more. He has 6 champions, meaning OPA children, in his classroom. And as you can see, you cannot see the picture, but he drew a picture of being very sad. There are children out there. There's a OPA family Facebook, and I mean I know I don't have enough time, but it's so sad to hear all, not complaints, but what the children are going through. It's so sad, and I hope and pray that you all open your hearts to our children and really know what they're going through. It's not us.
I'm sorry, your time is
I
up.
know. But thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. Pat, we're now at changes and deletions. Are there any changes or deletions?
The following changes are on the agenda. Item 3B5, page 39, applications to operate fundraising activities and other activities for the benefit of students. Under Townsend Junior High School, add Townsend Junior High School Dance Team Boosters. And item 3E1, page 96, certificated classified personnel items is yellow sheeted.
Okay. Moving on, we are now at the action items. Please announce the first item.
Item 2A1, superintendent search options.
And that is to recommend the Board of Education select a superintendent search option. May I have a motion and a second to place the item on the floor for discussion, and then we'll have another motion and second for possible action.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Knowles, second by Mrs. Blair. Okay. Lights.
I have a question before we proceed.
Okay.
Are you going to share with the public the options that we're discussing or no?
Well, the options were in the agenda.
Right, but you don't want to just restate them right now?
Yeah, okay.
For those who may not have
Okay.
read the agenda.
So let me go to my item. So the board has a number of options for handling a search, which can include the California School Boards Association, San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools, private search firms, which we received a couple. The Board of Education can conduct its own search, or the Board of Education can conduct internal interviews for appointment.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, board members. My lights. No, try it again. Okay, now I've got one light. Mrs. Fikes, your light is on first.
Well, for me, I'm not really interested in a private search firm. They're expensive. My experience with them has been that they all have their leanings. I know we saw many names of people who've worked for us in the past, and that's of concern to me. I am more interested in the San Bernardino utilizing county services or conducting our own search. I think that gives us greater input about what we want, what we're looking for, as well as the handling of the candidates once they have indicated that they're interested.
Okay. Mr. Naw, your light is on.
Yes, I'd like to have our, yes, I agree with Mrs. Fikes. I don't think we should spend any money hiring these companies to do a head search for us. I have spoken with many site leaders, and I feel we should do an internal interview and conduct our own business here, as we have, I think, enough pool of good leaders that we had experience with, and also the support.
Thank you. Mrs. Blair's light was on.
Regarding the internal interviews or our own search, what would be the difference between the two? That in our own search, we bring forth recommendations, or does it mean our own search of internal interviews?
No, so our own search would actually be doing what the search firms do, but we would do it. And as far as internal interviews, we could do one of two things. We could actually invite someone to interview, or we could post all internal applicants who possess A, B, and C may interview.
Got it. Thank you.
Mr. Cruz?
I would like to add an option, to also have, to invite external.
External?
Yeah, outside, if that ever, at least we have internal, and then we have that option of external invitations.
So then you would say, so you're basically saying to do a search, for the board to do a search. That's what you're.
Yeah, but we can determine how we would want this to occur.
Of course.
So if everything is internal, then it's internal. But if there's exceptions to something out there, then we have an opportunity to go external. Because if we
So
say
you're saying
internal-
so you're saying do internal, but if that doesn't work out, then go external? Is that what you're saying?
Well, at least we have that flexibility. That's what the flexibility of having.
Okay. So, any other comments? I'm going to draw from my past, so I've got a. Go ahead.
I'd just like to include that the next step for us, I believe, is conversation about what it is we're looking for. And with all due respect to our wonderful cabinet that we have, as well as some other administrators in our district that might be aspiring to the superintendency, I think there's some strength at looking at outside candidates, even if it helps us appreciate what it is that we have on the inside. So I really would prefer that we do at least some kind of search, either with the county superintendent or our own search as a board.
Okay. Mr. Na, did you turn your light on again?
Yeah, I'm thinking about comments from Mr. Cruz. I would like to see if we would do our internal interviews first, and should we not be finding the right person, then we can go external and have that as an option always.
Mrs. Fikes?
The problem with doing that later is it just increases the time period. Increases the, so we do the first level of interviews, and then we decide, we would like to see somebody else. I mean, the problem with that, with having a search and then widening the search, what if, as we widen the search, we think, be careful what you wish for, because we didn't find anybody any better than the person that we kind of liked, but we thought maybe we want to see somebody different. I think you want to start with a wider net and then narrow down.
So, if I might throw in my 2 cents, let me see if I have. Hang on one second. So my kids say I'm a hoarder, paperwork. So I pulled out my old stuff from when Mr. Joseph was actually appointed. Look at that. Is it crazy? Look at this. Wait, I want to show. Pat, do you remember these?
Yes.
Do you remember these? Mm-hmm. That's how old it goes back. So, well, I'm right there too. So I reached out and spoke with individuals who were on the board prior to me, and asked how they felt the search was with an outside firm, and kind of with what Mrs. Fike said, that they kind of had their own person, and they didn't really feel that it turned out well. So given that all the expense is just so high, is kind of makes me shine away from it. As far as time period, I mean, if you look here, the length of the time period, even for the longest one, is about 5 months. And luckily, Mr. Joseph, it's funny because as I was thinking about it today, you started off as an interim and then became superintendent. So you're almost like leaving in an interim because you're giving us this time period to look for another superintendent, right? So, so as far as time period, I don't think we're not as short in time as we were when we chose Mr. Joseph. The other thing is, for me, I think I would like to see us interview internally first, only because I think that the person has to be familiar with our culture. We have a very unique climate culture in our district, and I think it's important that the person is familiar with who we are. You know, when you bring an outside person in, and I can only go according to what I've been through with superintendents. When you bring someone new in, you got to be careful what you wish for, because sometimes looks good at the beginning, but at the end it just doesn't work out as well as you think it may or should have. Not only that, but many times they'll bring in their own staff. And that's because they're superintendent and they're going to bring in people who they want to work with. History in our district shows that. The other thing is, if you bring someone in new, will they go in a different direction that we're already in? So we're already going in a direction that we're trying to get all our people to go in that direction. So bringing someone in and we explain to them that we want to go in this direction, but they start veering us to a different direction, always kind of scares me. One of the other most important things for me is I know I have, since I've gotten on the board, have advocated for promotion from within. I've advocated for teachers to be promoted to APs and principals, and for site administrators to be promoted to the district office. I think that's so important. And I look at, I serve with other board members and other commissions and CSBA and whatnot. And I see that many of the successful districts are the ones who hire from within. And so that's what, because I've always advocated for it, I've always advocated for promote from within, promote from within. And why aren't we promoting from within? I have to feel the same way about our leadership. So I also believe, I go back to my the last time prior to Mr. Joseph being, prior to you being interim, we had a deputy superintendent. And I felt that the deputy superintendent was ready to be superintendent, but because of her association, I think it didn't go well for her because of her association with the prior superintendent. But I think when we have a deputy, I think we're putting a person in place for them to step into the superintendent role. And if that's not what we're doing, then we shouldn't have a deputy superintendent. My belief. The other thing is, I think that going outside may send the wrong message to our staff. And I don't want to do that. I would like to see us interview from within. I'm just going on what I experienced before. Mrs. Fikes, your light is on.
So again, I'm looking at our staff. I also believe in promoting from within. I just want us to have the strongest program that we can have. And I believe if it's an automatic ascension from deputy to superintendent, again, no offense intended, Dr. Enfield, you may well be the candidate. But I think then somebody else has chosen the superintendent, not the school board. Whoever picked the deputy chose the superintendent. And I think this is the one thing that we really do, is select the superintendent. And so it's important to me that we have a full deck of playing cards as we make that selection.
Mr. Dice, your light on.
Yes, when I walk on campus and we see new leaders every year, and our staffs and teachers said, Mr. Na, it's so great that you had hired so-and-so. We loved her as a teacher. I know her for 15 years. And this is the culture that we have. We are doing our best to find leaders amongst ourselves, and it is aligned with that culture. Even the top leaders, Mr. Joseph, who has been a teacher first, who has been a principal, who has served with people, and therefore he was chosen. And prior to that leadership, I couldn't tell because I wasn't here. And that was certainly from outside. Some people had good experience and some people had not a so good experience. But person who had not so good experience had that hurt feeling for a while. So I feel that I have confidence in our teachers, our principals, and our staffs. So I would like to conduct internal interviews first. Thank you.
Mr. Cruz.
Yeah, I agree 100% what you're saying. I just like that idea of having an option. You know, I don't see this as a sequence from a beginning to an end. It's almost like loopy over and over. And it's nice just to have an option. That's it. But I agree internally. But, you know, we're talking.
And to start internally doesn't mean that
That's it. Just that healthiness.
that we don't end up going outside.
Exactly.
I think it's just a starting point.
Yes.
Okay.
I've been very clear.
Mrs. Blair?
I said my piece, I was short and to the point. Internal interviews. I'm confident we have a superintendent in our district.
Okay, so you're good with internal?
Correct.
Mrs. Fikes, you would like to go and do your own search. I would like to do internal.
I'd like to do internal.
It would be healthy to have an option.
Well,
But if, you know, I'm okay with internal as well. But, you know, it's just nice to have it right there on the side that, you know, there's that option.
Okay, so then,
That's all.
and that option will still be there
Yeah, exactly, that's it.
if you decide not to go with the internal candidates.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't close the door to anything. So with that being said, I guess we need to decide internal to who? Do we limit it? Oh, we need a motion. We need a motion to,
I make motion to make an internal interview.
okay, so Mr. Na makes a motion to do internal interview.
Second.
Mrs. Blair makes the second. Okay, so now more discussion, right?
Well, you can elaborate on that motion.
Oh, adopt that.
Specifically.
Oh, okay, so let's vote just on that motion and then we can discuss it further. No?
No, you discuss it before the vote.
Discuss
Okay.
that, and then if you want to add to it, then Mr. Na can amend his motion and then vote on the one.
Gotcha. Mr. Cruz, you have your light on.
So I just want to, so we're going to decide who's going to be the superintendent? No. Okay.
No.
Okay, all right.
You're just deciding on which option we want to
Okay,
choose for
okay,
now.
Sorry.
Okay. Further discussion on the selection? Okay, so do we want to be specific as to how we're going to do internal?
Well, I imagine that there's a job description.
There is, and I
Like,
have.
however we would do it for any other position, right? Like, if it's an internal search, then individuals should submit their interest, whatever process currently exists. So, Mr. Joseph, when you sought out the position, were you chosen, or did you submit an interest letter? What did you do?
Well, the district kind of flew the position internally. I applied, I had an interview with the board, and the board selected me.
There you go.
That was,
process.
but may I make a correction? That was actually for the interim,
Yes, for the interim.
right?
Okay, but then for superintendent, he just indicated he was interested in pursuing superintendent?
The board felt that he was the person to,
Right after a few months.
right.
I just think that that's what should be done, is that it should be flown internally, applicants, resumes, blood type, whatever it is that they need to include. That's what we should do. I don't know what other method
Okay.
we would engage in.
Mr. Cruz and Mr. Na, do you
Yeah.
have input?
No, I agree. That's,
Well, Mrs. Fikes, you don't want to go that way anyway.
Yeah, I think we have done in the past with Mr. Joseph, and I'd like to follow that route.
Okay. So we will do, we'll send out a confidential letter first to the board to show what the job description and everything else.
President Orozco,
Yes.
would you like to establish any time frame in which this should be carried out?
Oh, yeah, we should do a time frame, shouldn't we? So, last time we did it quick. We did it quick just like last time. So let's,
And I'm going to throw something out there, hypothetical, right? You're going to determine the time frame of when we're beginning, when we're closing it. Hypothetically, what would occur if there was only one applicant?
we'd interview them,
And
and we would
if they're
decide.
not, then that's when we could,
Go outside,
got it.
yeah. So the time frame would be, you know what, let's, can you and I work on that, and then we'll send it to the board? Would the
That's
board be
fine.
agreeable to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll go according to the calendar to make it fair so that we're not rushing it, because we really don't need to rush it like we did last time.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
So the motion is to conduct internal interviews with Mr. Na, making the motion, Mrs. Blair seconded, advertise it as to internal candidates.
Candidates only, yes.
Okay.
And actually, I have that advertisement from the last time, if you want that.
See?
Okay, so Mrs. Kaler read the motion. Further discussion?
No.
Mr. Oh, yes. This is for superintendent. This is not for interim.
Yes.
Okay. With any further discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Student representative? Motion passes 4-1. And we are, hang on one second, let me get my place here. We are at the next item.
Item 2A2, revision to the classified management confidential salary schedule and proposed classified confidential salary schedule reflecting a 1% ongoing on-schedule increase retroactive effective to July 1, 2014.
And that is to recommend the Board of Education approve the revision to the classified management confidential salary schedule and proposed classified confidential salary schedule reflecting a 1% ongoing on-schedule increase retroactive effective to July 1, 2014. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Mrs. Blair makes the motion. Mrs. Fike seconds. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, student representative? Motion passes 5-0.
Item 2B1, public hearing regarding the sufficiency of instructional materials, 2017-2018, and adoption of Resolution 2017-2018-14 for Cal Aero Preserve Academy K through 6.
And that is to recommend that the Board of Education conduct a public hearing regarding the sufficiency of instructional materials 2017-2018 and adopt Resolution 2017-2018-14 for Cal Aero Preserve Academy K through 6. I now open the public hearing regarding the sufficiency of instructional materials 2017-2018 and adoption resolution 2017/2018-14 for Cal Aero Preserve Academy K through 6 at 8:02 p.m. Do we have any speakers?
No speakers.
I now close the public hearing at 8:02 p.m. Now for the adoption of resolution 2017-2018-14 for Cal Aero Preserve Academy K through 6. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Blair makes a motion. Mr. Noss seconds. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Preferential? Motion passes 5-0. We are now at consent. Pat, are there any speakers for consent items?
None.
Okay, so let me get to my page. Board members, do you have any polls? Mr. Cruz? Do you have any polls?
Yes. 3C2.
And what page number is that?
46.
I'm sorry?
46?
Okay, is that your only one? Mrs. Blair?
3E6, page 124.
Mr. Knott?
I have no polls.
Mrs. Fikes? No polls. And I have no polls. For the remainder of the consent calendar, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Yep. So it's been moved by Mrs. Blair, second by Mr. Cruz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Preferential? Motion passes with a vote of 5-0. Okay, so Miss...
You know, we talked about this in closed session. Hold on. Dr. Park, can you please explain
3C, okay, hang on, 3C2.
page
No, we didn't.
48?
Okay. 3C2.
So
May I have a
moved.
motion?
Yeah.
So moved.
So it's been moved by Mrs. Blair,
Second.
second by Mrs. Fikes. Okay, so 3C2, this is a board policy.
Okay.
What's your question?
I'll take that back. I guess my question was that the way it was worded, that it was revised in a different format. No, that was, I just wanted to know how it was
Yeah.
revised.
It was updated. I read the whole thing because it pertains to parenting, students who are parents in our district, but most of the language that was added was because in California, mothers who breastfeed have to be provided with a private room. It cannot be a restroom. So the policy was extensive in adding that language to ensure that we're adhering to California law.
And that's how I understood, so.
Yeah, I read the whole thing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Preferential? Motion passes 5-0. The next item is E36, page 124. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Blair makes the motion. Mr. Knopf seconds. Mrs. Blair.
And this is, I don't know who negotiated this memorandum of understanding, but it's a tuition discount for Chino Valley Unified School District employees to attend the California Baptist University. And it's a great MOU. 10% discount on tuition, all of that. I mean, I read the whole thing and I'm like, I wish I were an employee so I can continue my education, probably pursue a master's, whatever. But I want to know how and it's a 30% discount for application fees. So that was amazing. But I want to know how we're going to promote this to our employees. Because if it isn't successful, CBU will likely not attempt to renew for the following year. So I want to know how we're going to do the promotional piece for this so that it is a success.
So what HR will do, we'll present the information via electronic email to our administrators to share with staff that they can post in the staff lounge.
Instead of going through the administrator, could we not send an email blast to all employees? Because now we're putting the responsibility on an administrator who may or may not get the information to who we need it to get to. And so it doesn't cost anything to blast it out to all of the employees.
We can do that as well.
Awesome. Thank you. That was all I had.
Thank you. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Preferential? Aye. Motion passes 5-0. So we are now at information items. Are there any questions or comments on information items? Okay, I don't see any lights going on, so I will move on to board communications. Mr. Cruz.
Thank you. I thought our Paul Rodriguez, our Chino counselor, he brought up some interesting concepts. And one of them was career, civic, character. And it would be really nice to have it, after they're done with the CBAC, that during 1 week after all that testing is done, that it would be really nice to have one week during school time where teachers are exploring academic vocabulary, careers. And not only that, he was also talking about, at the same time, Chino having a fair in careers and job fairs and so forth. But I think that is an excellent opportunity to have, to instill that, to instill those schemas in our students that there is college, there are careers out there. And also, on something that he brought up about technology, it would be really great to have internet wide throughout the city of Chino. And so for him to bring it up about technology integrated with Chino, having school-wide internet access for the community, I think that would be a great level field for all students, having that opportunity. So the ideas that he brought up were pretty par. And I think those things that we should consider, building academic careers, colleges, exposing them at the same time, building character and building civic duties as well. So I think that's very fantastic. So, I also attended the Chino boxing event. Great. It brings the community together. These people are amazing, talented young men, young women fighting, enjoying their sport. And I really enjoy going to those boxing events. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Mrs. Blair.
I wanted to begin, and sadly, our OPA parent left. Oh, no, she's still here. Awesome. Miss Hermosillo. Briggs is an amazing school. My children went there. However, I agree with you that parking is a problem, but the problem isn't just at Briggs. Parking is bad at all of our school sites, especially at the beginning of the school year. On rainy days, on hot days, you name it, and parking is a problem. I don't think that the speaker meant that there was police presence at Briggs. I think she was in general stating that that Chino PD was present at school sites. But I ask you and all OPA families to give our school sites an opportunity to address your concerns. At Briggs, you know, you can speak to the principal, to the assistant principals, you could speak to the teacher. It's unfortunate to hear that, you know, in 4 days your child hasn't made any friends. But sometimes our own children are like that. Mine was a bit reserved, not quick to make friends. But eventually he got there and completed successfully his K through 8 education at Briggs. So just know that nothing is intentional, especially with children. They have no idea who is a former OPA student. That doesn't exist with children. Children are not born to discriminate, to hate, to look at anyone differently. I think we as adults implement that. So just give the students there, the administration, an opportunity to make everything right. And not just at that school site, but at any school site. So I just want to share. I needed to respond to that because Briggs is not the only one with terrible parking. They all are. We can talk after. Well, you and I can talk after the meeting. There's another item that I need to comment on. And educators and Mr. Ball, do not take any offense to this. But you know I'm a very open person, and I'm going to say when the district is wrong, the district is wrong. But to say that the delay in the contract is solely on the district, I need to say that that is not accurate, okay? I'm not going to negotiate here. But it takes two sides. And I hope that with new leadership, that there will be honest communication to the membership about what truly takes place. There were months where there were no meetings, that I saw communications being requested to meet, and there was no response to meet. So 413 days is concerning to me. It is a long time to be without a contract as a public employee, as a union president. I get you. But I don't think tonight was how we should have begun the school year with this exchange. I think it could have waited to the September meeting. I would have appreciated hearing about all the great things that teachers did on the first day of school, what our teachers did for our students over the summer. Like I, as a board member, have been waiting for those type of exchanges between ACT and the board and the public. So I needed to say that because if I repeat it later, I don't want anyone to say Irene should have said it that night. I'm saying it, and I'm saying it in a loving, professional manner. We need to change the dynamic between both sides. Let's start tonight, moving forward. Okay, so let's be honest on both sides. If I need to step in, you need to let me know that before you hit the podium. I would just appreciate a courtesy and an attempt to correct what is being done inappropriately from the district perspective. So I just needed to get that out there. With that, I am wearing tonight my Calero Academy shirt. I am going back to wearing school spirit shirts. Our aviators began instruction on July 6th because they are a year-round campus with almost 1,300 students at this amazing school site. I wish you all a fantastic school year. I want to thank all staff who worked over the summer break to ensure we had clean and safe school sites for all of our students. Staff who worked on personnel items, staff who worked in technology for their continued hard work in providing improved technology and to ensure that anyone who needed to be hired was hired and ready to go on the first day of school. So all of your efforts do not go unnoticed. I really do appreciate it. I want to especially commend all the staff who worked summer school, because without your commitment, our students wouldn't have the opportunity to gain the educational support necessary to ensure success. So I really do appreciate all of you who step up and provide summer school education. Thank you for that. I also want to applaud all the coaches who worked all summer with our students in various sports, enduring the excessive heat and humidity to ensure that our student athletes are well prepared to compete I can't even imagine. I visited a couple of teams practicing over the summer, and I could feel the heat rising from the turf. Even the water polo practices, it's just burning out there. And so those types of employees are committed straight from the heart. They are truly dedicated to all of our students, so I want to thank them for that. I do want to ask staff, cabinet here, parents are wondering when our school district will begin to provide online registration. I get that not all families have computer access, and we can continue to provide paper packets, but almost all surrounding school districts have online registration. And I stood in the line for my freshman, and I was like, this is ridiculous. You know, I didn't complain. I endured the line, go from this line to the next line to the next. It was a smooth process, but I get now why parents are saying that we need to revamp our registration. So I don't need an answer tonight, but I think it's something we need to start discussing and plan to change this soon. I visited several school sites on Monday. Not only was the traffic bad, but I don't know if we can work with the city or the cities, but parents purposely block the entrance to the driveway entrances into our schools, which mean our buses can't drop off our students, but they also can't exit because parents refuse to leave that space open at the driveways. And I noticed that, like in front of a fire station, it says, do not park here, and there's the two white lines. Like, I'm thinking that maybe we can start doing that because our school buses then run late because they can't get out of the school that they're picking up to get to the next school to pick up because cars won't let them out of the parking lot. So those are things that perhaps with our Measure G we can start looking at, or maybe work with the city to get some lines in the parking so that they can get out, something to that effect. I am now a high school parent, and I visited Don Lugo High School. They had an amazing assembly for the freshmen. They gave them 2021 t-shirts, and they all had to wear the t-shirt. Of course, some kids, didn't want to mess up the hair. They had a nice shirt on. They were looking too cute, but almost all cooperated and wore the shirt. So to see them all sitting in the stands with the same shirt was really something emotional and heartfelt. They had several guest speakers. The speaker that went on first asked them to look around in the gym, and then asked them to commit to one another that they would graduate together in 2021. And I got so choked up because that's the reality, right? That some in that gym are not going to make it to the stage in 2021. But how impactful was that for students to look at one another and tell each other that they're committing to graduate together in 4 years? I just thought that was something really memorable, and I want to commend Dr. Cabrera and Ms. Farah Rigo Witt and all the staff who carried out this great event. The last item I'm going to touch on is the combination classes. Parents expressed dissatisfaction with the fact that we're starting off the school year again with combination classes. So I want to share some data which Cabinet provided. Thank you so much. In the school year 2010-2011, we started off the year with 65 combo classes. 2011-2012, we had 66. 2012-2013, we had 64. 2013, 2014, we had 48. 2014, 2015, we had 63. 2015, 2016, we had 18. 2016, 2017, we had 18. This school year, we had 9. I was so excited that we were in the single digits, but I learned tonight that we're at 10, with the hope that we will return back to the single digits, right? So I know that what we would want is full elimination of combos. But in order to eliminate a combo class, that means that a choice has to be made to overflow students to a school that is not their neighborhood school. I don't know about you, but myself as a parent, that would break my heart. So if I have to work a little harder, work a little extra for my child in a combination class, I would be willing to do that than to know that my child has to ride the bus every day to a school site that isn't their neighborhood school. I get combination classes are not ideal. I am not a strong supporter, but we have come a long way from when we were at 65 to have 10. So I'm sorry that it still isn't enough for some individuals, but for me, I'm elated, and you're not going to get me off of my high horse, high podium, whatever you want to call it, because I think that this is fantastic. I want to commend Cabinet, all staff who were involved in reducing this, Mr. Joseph and the board who has been so staunch on placing money where it needs to go in order to reduce combination classes. So that is what I'm ending my night tonight on. Good news, what it should be all about when we all work together. So let's have a stupendous school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Blair. Mr. Nah.
Yes, I just found out our retired teacher for a year, Ray Sheffield from Don Lugo High School, had passed away in this June. And it was so saddening for me because he had promised that we would have a lunch together after he's retired, and I wasn't able to do that. So it tells us that not one day is promised, and all our teachers working with full dedications and using your talents to serving our children. Sometimes, even among ourselves, we need to watch our health and continue to serve and share love together. I have visited Ramona Junior High School. We have an excellent leadership there. Adults are excited, as well as the students. So it was great to see that. And also Magnolia Junior High School. We have a principal, John Miller. And he had shown me this compass. He said, 9 years ago, somebody from our district had given it to him and retired. And he said, look at this compass daily, and look where it's pointing at. It's pointing at students. So regardless of his daily rituals and concerns, he's always looking at students, he said, and really helped them. So thank you for our principals and our teachers. And Bob Whitmore, last couple years he had family concerns and troubles and trials, but he's fully back in swing. I saw him in the classroom teaching kids with happy face, so congratulations for him. And Chino Hills High School, I met this special ed aide. She said, Mr. Na, I'm so happy. I said, what do you mean? She said, oh, I missed my kids so much during the summer, and I'm back. And she said, and this is from my heart. And she's approaching her retirement age, but this is our teachers and aides. They really love our kids, so thank you. Buena Vista High School, where they had finished summer school program, which was a great success. Mr. Vasquez had shared with me that there was a troubled kid who had actually passed the class for the first time, in this summer program. So thank you for that, student. And I have been hearing lots of praises about Leah Fellows, Grace Park, our cabinet members. So you really make us proud, because the site leaders really respect you guys, because you're there for them all the time. So thank you. And thank you, Steve Ball, coming out and then telling us about the future of our education in California. And it is true, the fact that we would see teacher shortage. And I'd like to ask Mr. Joseph to direct our staffs, and what would be our plan for the future should this thing would happen. Because when it does happen, and we're in a competing position, we could be already too late. So, okay. And talking about Steve Ball again, he said we need to change the culture. You know, why do we have to, 450, whatever days, why should that be in our teacher's mind? Already we have so much going on with the curriculums and students and serving our constituents. That should be the last thing in our teacher's mind. If there's a hope, that's from my heart. Whatever we could share, it should be all transparent, and share it. So there needs to be no negotiations and nothing, just one signature. And that's what cowboys used to do businesses, shaking hands. This is one country. This is not Virginia we're talking about. This is Chino Valley. Whatever has happened in the past, we don't want it to, if it wasn't good, as an adult, we should stop it. If we don't stop it and continue on, shame on us. In 50 years from now, what should matter? That's after retirement and after death. But what are we leaving behind everything to our students? Where teachers have to come and concern about the contract. This is ridiculous. However, in the same token, in the difficult time hits, we should all survive. Why? Because we have job to do to serve students. Make sure none of the teachers gets laid off. None of our staffs get laid off. And if we can't do that, shame on ourselves. No more disputes, no more negotiations for hundreds of days. And then even the negotiation is done, everybody has a hard feeling. That we want, and still not happy. That's ridiculous. We're an adults. So I really pray and hope we change this culture. So we can always start with New Year with a smile. Like looking at the compass, look at our students. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Na. Mrs. Fikes.
As a retired educator, I have to say, back to school is the best time. It's the most hopeful time. It's the most uplifting time. I see you out there nodding, Julian. For people who've left the classroom, it's the one time that you really think, oh, I kind of wish I was back there. You don't always think that at the end of the year. But at the beginning of the year, it's just so spectacular. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. But it is well rewarded by the reaction of the students as they walk in and they make those initial connections. I see what you're thinking. So I went out to lots of schools. I was the first day. I'm sure they don't really like to see me so much coming the first day, but I wanted to see how it was going. So I was at Ramona and Marshall and Dixon and Rolling Ridge and Canyon and Alla. And everywhere I went, the excitement of the kids and the excitement of the adults, the secretaries, the teachers, the aides, the custodians, the parents I ran into was palpable. And it made me feel great that I'd taken that time to interrupt them all and see for myself how things were going. I particularly wanted to highlight Ramona's red carpet welcome for their students this year. It was a new thing. I didn't get to see it, but they did. I wasn't there for the live action, but I did get to see their video and was able to talk to some people afterwards. And so I know it was really well received and a great beginning. And of course, Canyon had tonight, Mrs. Farley said they were using an AVID approach, and I do believe, since I worked in AVID, that it is an AVID approach, but I think they're calling it best practices. And lots of teachers have been trained, and they are trying to implement some best practices for the success of all students, and it was a great way to begin. I would also like to echo Mrs. Blair's comments about online registration and say, as a former principal, one of the pluses of online registration is the forms are legible. Hugely important when you've got emergency numbers, and that is so completely worth it. So I really hope that that's something that we can pursue. For me, I would really like to see us move to a system where the students receive their schedules before the first day of school. And I will continue to advocate for that, because especially at the high schools, there are, I would venture to say, hundreds of problems with schedules. The biggest problem, kids not in athletic PE who belong in athletic PE, kids in athletic PE who don't belong in athletic PE. But there are other issues. They went to summer school, they took a class, and now they're in that class. And every now and then there's the computer glitch of, I've got 3 English classes on my schedule, and I still need a math and a social studies. If we would send those out, the schedules out, before school begins, then when we have employees at our school sites, they could take care of those so that the first day of school, more kids would be in the proper place on the first day. And I get it why a lot of people don't want to do that. I just think it's worth trying. So I'm hoping some school will take the bait and try it. And, pardon? Don Lugo did this year? Yes. Oh, how wonderful. Yes. I'm happy to hear that. So I'd really like to hear how they liked it, because that could maybe start from little projects, we can get great results. And lastly, I want to say, as a community member, I drive by the schools all the time, Saturdays, Sundays, and I'm always looking at the number of cars. And I just want to say to our community, the number of cars the last couple of weekends was remarkable. And I know that those are teachers giving of themselves and their time, and sometimes their family members' time, to get ready for the first day. Hundreds and hundreds of donated hours of their time, which I'm just one humble board member saying thank you. I'm so grateful for all the extra effort that was put in to make a memorable first day for our children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Fikes. Mr. Joseph.
Well, please mark your calendars for the first parent information forum of the new school year. It will be held 6:30 to 8 on Wednesday, September 20th, in the Chino Hills High School multipurpose room. School resource officers will discuss drug trends, social media issues, and provisional driver license laws, as well as other topics that could affect our students. Pizza, babysitting, and translation will be provided. A second parent forum is set for March 14th, 2018 at Chino High. A ribbon cutting ceremony will be held 9 a.m. Wednesday, August 23rd at Newman Elementary School's new STEAM lab. Students will explore the fields of science, technology, engineering, arts, and math in the new facility. We had a great start to the new school year this week with creative welcomes at several of our campuses, and I know we'll have a wonderful school year. And finally, You know, every life has novel and unique experiences. All of us do. One of mine happened tonight. It was rather surreal to have people talk about replacing you. You know? I never thought I'd be in the position where people would actually be talking about replacing me. But you have my commitment, board members, that whomever you may choose, we will have as smooth and seamless a transition as we possibly can. And with that, that'll conclude my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Doso. So I will begin with my retirements once again. This evening in the agenda, we have Jane Carter, 29 years of service, and Nutrition Services Manager. Chris Pratt, 27 years of service, maintenance 3, electrician maintenance. Okay, so welcome back to a new school year. What a great beginning. I was able to attend the Marshall Elementary, holding the stars and high-fiving the students, and it was, what a great idea, and parents loved the fact that the kids were being acknowledged on the very first day. I know I overheard one parent say, well, my kid came here a couple of years ago and they never did that before, and this is great. So it was a great event, and I know that other schools did it because I did get to see the Ramona Junior High red carpet on the video. And so I'm looking forward to a really good year. Couple of things. Mrs. Blair, I'm kind of going to jump on a couple of topics that you talked about. Sports. I think I'm going to have someone to talk about sports with. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. And in regards to registration, I think I've talked about registration packets for quite some time. I remember talking about it when I had 3 students in the district and I was receiving 3 identical packets. And back then, I even talked about how AYSO had registration, and you register 1 year, and then the next year you just correct or update whatever needs to be updated. And so I know I talked about that back then, and hopefully maybe with a couple more board members, we'll get to look into it. So just with the paper alone, I remember with 3 kids, just with the paper alone, coming home, and they were all the same information. It just seems silly. But anyway, hopefully we will look down that path of no more paper registration. The other thing is I want to congratulate a former Don Lugo student who is in a music and acting career. Miss Mariah Peters is going to be in a movie, and it's going to be shown on September 15th. And I can't remember the Chino Hills Theater. What's the name of that theater? Harkins, Chino Hills Theater, and the movie's name is Because of Gracia. So if you're available on September 15th, please support our Don Lugo student whose career is really taking off. And finally, mark your calendars for August 31st at 5 p.m. We will have a bond study session. So please spread the word. Bond study session on August 31st, 2017 at 5 p.m. And with that, I hope that you all have a great school year, and I adjourn at 8:39.